Hi and welcome to Talking Shop. This is EKM's look at the world of e-commerce news. I'm Mike and this is Jessie.
Hello.
And we're from the EKM marketing team for your one-stop shop in everything e-commerce. Coming up on today's episode,
Updates on the planned Royal Mail strikes. The click and collect economy soars amid a rise in hybrid shopping. 71% of online sellers are optimistic about e-commerce despite the cost of living crisis. Strong customer authentication leads to a drop in online card fraud. An online safety bill is a mess, says human rights lawyers.
So we'll run through some of the month's major stories, and one of those being, it's quite a common story across much of society in the working world in the UK at the moment, is there's planned strike action for Royal Mail. One of those is, but today as we're filming this, but Thursday the 13th of October, Thursday the 20th of October, and Tuesday the 25th of October. This is industrial action from the Communication Workers Union, the CWU. And they have announced that they will be doing further strikes, a national strike action on Monday the 28th of November for a day as well. So
were there not some that throughout December as well, or did I get that wrong?
Yeah, I think it's potential strike. This is from the Royal Mail website. Potential strike action impacting parts of our operation on different days between the 2nd of November and 2nd of December. So you've got that is network and national distribution. The 2nd, the 8th, the 14th, the 23rd and the 30th of November you might get some disruption, and then parcel and letter processing and distribution and international parcel and letter services on the 3rd, the 9th, the 15th, the 24th of November and the 1st of December. And parcel and letter deliveries on the 4th, the 2nd, the 16th and the 25th of November and the 2nd of December. I'll tell you what, I'll put it in the description of this video for you so you can digest them.
All this is on the Royal Mail website as well, so if you need to consult.
It is, yeah. So if Royal Mail is your chosen distributor, then you're going to want to take those into account.
Definitely. Maybe put a banner across your shop just reminding people to factor that into the delivery times. And most people, I think, will be aware of the Royal Mail strike, but I think it definitely doesn't hurt to remind people at checkout that orders might take an extra day or two as far as shipping times, those sorts of things. Or if you have other carriers that you can work with, you can always encourage people to use other trusted carriers, perhaps.
Yeah, exactly. And this is obviously on top of other industrial action from the RMT and what have you as well, that's affecting the trains. So lots to navigate at the moment in terms of getting things places, whether it's yourself or your products. So next, click and collect economy soars amid rise in hybrid shopping. Interesting term, hybrid shopping. I don't think I've ever really sort of thought about it that way, but obviously, the first point of contact and the acquisition online, and then of course people then going to the destination and picking it up and what have you, and the possible advantages that you have there of getting someone into your physical store as well. So this is information from Barclaycard, who says that $42.4 billion worth in 2022 was the click and collect industry, which makes up 8.4% of the UK's total retail spend, which is quite high.
That is really high. Honestly, that's so high.
Yeah. I mean, maybe, you sort of make sense with the previous story we just spoke about with Royal Mail strikes as well. People not too confident in things making their own way to them as a customer, really. So
yeah. I guess I'm a little bit interested to know exactly which click and collect services are included in this. Is it like click and collect your Asda order, as well as things like Argos, as well as small businesses, or are we talking more? I don't know. I'd be really interested to know exactly which businesses they're including, but I'm not shocked with this because click and collect became such a hot thing during the pandemic when people really didn't want to go in stores and spend a lot of time around other people, or there was the queues to get in and that sort of thing. So at that point, click and collect became such. I never used it before the pandemic. Not never, but sparsely. Yeah. And now I do that on option a lot more than I used to, and I think a lot of people are doing the same. Yeah, and I think what you'll find is as well when people, I know there's sort of different attitudes now with delivery companies in terms of leaving your parcel outside the door. A lot of them just tend to, I don't care what the weather is, I don't care where it is going to get left outside your house and I'm not coming back to deliver it. But with a lot of people going back into offices, not being quite at home as much, you do want to sort of pick these things up on your terms, don't you really? Definitely. Just to flesh this out, homeware, fashion, accessories, garden products are some of the most popular amongst customers using click and collect services. Approximately 41%
of bricks and mortar stores in the UK are now utilising click and collect collections or designate themselves as locations, with the same amount being used in the processing of returns. So basically the fiance bought some jeans off Levi's, so she got them delivered, and then Homebase were a collection point to then send them back. So not a newsagent, nothing like that, an actual retail outlet that sells goods completely unrelated to Levi's was the point where you sent it off.
I'm seeing that more and more nowadays, which is really strange.
Yeah. So that's interesting. I know Argos are a big place of click and collect, even though that's the whole sort of business model. But they also, you can send parcels back there as well.
Yeah.
That's all sort of part of the same group, isn't it? Sainsbury's, Argos, Homebase, and what have you.
Yeah, and it's really good in sort of like a money saving exercise as well. The idea of click and collect, because it's less money in diesel. Like if you think from like a CO2 emission standpoint.
Yeah.
But also the merchant doesn't have to spend the money to send it off.
Of course.
The person on the other end doesn't have to pay for shipping. So I just love click. It's the future.
Exactly. You go out and get your physical shopping, maybe at the supermarket, but then you can go and pick up something else you've ordered online at the same time, all in one trip.
Yeah.
So like you say, your carbon footprint is reducing there every single time you do that. And also, if you're a small business and you've got a local customer base, it's really nice because they can come in and touch base, but also they can make sure you have something in stock before they get to your shop, really, can't they? So definitely want to look into if you don't currently offer that. Now, this next one is an interesting one. Strong customer authentication leads to drop in online card fraud. Now, you might have remembered earlier this year, right, in thinking that?
Yeah.
This year there was obviously, they had to, payment platforms had to adhere to this new strong customer authentication, which basically was a way of cutting down fraud, of authenticating that it was you, sort of paying for services. That could be anything from confirming it's you via apps usually, so your NatWest app, your Halifax app, your PayPal app, and what have you, instead of the old school way of
just entering the card details and praying.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and a lot of the when you used to, I think they still do allow this, don't they? But when you used to get the card machine out as well at home, you used to put your card in and that sort of thing. Yeah, which was annoying when you lost it and what have you. So big news is they introduced this sort of legislation. Everyone has to adhere to it. Us at EKM, we had to go right through our payment platforms and do lots of development work. Which can if you're wanting sort of continuity as an online shop, sometimes can't be great because these payment platforms don't really keep up with this. So most important thing is, has it worked? Was it worth doing? Was it worth legislating against? And so since the start of this new regulatory requirement in the UK, 73% of retailers have seen online payment fraud decline as online shopping has become safer. So they've also done some other analysis here, basically that non-compliant businesses, so businesses still using these like deprecated gateways, are apparently missing out on, they estimate, around 2 million in sales every day due to these fraudulent sales that are still sort of creeping through. So that's good to see.
Yeah, definitely.
And the safer world we can make the internet, I guess the better. So that leaves us, I was going to leave this to last because we keep waffling on about this, but Jews, I've just said the words.
I was just thinking that now's the perfect time to bring this in.
This is the online safety bill, which we've talked a lot about.
You can see it written all over his face, how he feels about this one.
The funny thing is, this has now made its way. I'm not saying we're trailblazers at all here on Talking Shop, but this has now made it into mainstream news. Not that it wasn't in mainstream news, but it has made it further up the headlines, further towards the front pages of newspapers now, because it's one of these bits of legislation, one of these bills that has been in this current chaos of the government. Or you sort of, we've had Boris Johnson leave, the trust come in, Chancellor changes, DCMS changes to the Department for Culture, Media and Sport. So that has sort of thrown all this up in the air, where you think it's, they're going to put this in place, they're going to run through all the readings and what have you that they have to do in Parliament. Keep getting knocked back, and not getting anywhere really. Now it's got to the point where a leading digital human rights lawyer, this is Dr. Susie Allegre, has said, and these are her words, and I quote, in its current form, it is a mess and needs a total rewrite. So after all of this, waiting for this to be debated and, passed or voted on at least and tried to pass through Parliament, it's apparently a mess, needs a total rewrite. I've been looking into this quite a lot, and the head of WhatsApp has concerns about the UK's and this safety law, because basically it's this, as we mentioned quite a lot of the times on this show, it's this battle between keeping people safe and putting regulation in place that's going to help stop misinformation, and that helps people's safety, but also allowing a free platform, people to express themselves, for business to progress, to innovate, and that sort of thing. What WhatsApp are saying is, because their encryption, doesn't allow any external entity to access the data on WhatsApp, so your private conversations. This bill, there are certain wordings that are so vague that it could be interpreted that the government could then look at your conversations. Now, that's quite a one-dimensional view of it, and we're a more mature nation to really, to end up in that situation where you're doing it. But if we pass this bill and other countries look at it and they think, we might adopt that, your more authoritarian countries, ones that aren't as mature or as sort of liberal in a way as we are, may use it for ill-gotten gains, overly monitoring people, spying, anything like that. So that was one of his takeaways from it. And, of course, WhatsApp, part of Meta, is something to be listened to as one of the big players in the tech game, isn't it? The new culture secretary is a woman called Michelle Donnellan. Looked into her career. Great. She used to work for the WWE.
Oh, gosh.
Which automatically got I was like, yes. I don't think anything particularly, no disrespect to her, but I think it was more of a minor executive level at the time. It was
she wasn't in the ring?
No, she was. Yes, she was. Yes, she was the former Divas champion of WWE. No, although actually, sometimes when you're watching the Houses of Parliament, I think you would benefit from some lessons in trash talk, wouldn't you? One. Yeah, it almost is like a WWE show, isn't it? At times. Brilliant. But she's apparently working flat out to deliver this bill, but has suggested that she will be making tweaks from the previous role holder, which was, of course, Nadine Dorries, who's now no longer in the role. So this is it. I know we sort of keep bringing this up, but it is quite important because there's many aspects to this, like I said, about accessing data, but also from the front end user point of view of GDPR, cookies. All of that will be encompassed in this bill. So you can imagine how large this piece of work is from a legislative point of view. So I'm mocking and joking that it's taking a long time. You would kind of hope that it would be taking a little bit of time, but it's the sort of going back and forth, not really moving forward, that's frustrating, isn't it, about this? Yeah. So we will see what comes of that. Probably going to come up about 2 or 3 more times, isn't it? Anyway, let's finish on a positive story. I wanted to get a nice one in there. So some research from customer support solution eDesk has said that 71% of online sellers are optimistic about e-commerce despite the cost of living crisis. Obviously, we're now in the point where the energy bills are starting to increase. I've noticed mine. I turn it on in the morning. The smarter meter, and it's about £1 higher than it used to be now. But amongst all this, and amongst the crisis, you want to hopefully have people continue to spend their money and have confidence in things. So the cost of living crisis is topping concerns for shoppers, with 36% of consumer complaints. This has come from, obviously, this customer support solution, focused on the cost of items. So people saying, you put my prices up and there's a cost of living crisis. But of course, all this cost gets passed on, doesn't it? Which is up from 24% just 6 months ago. However, e-commerce momentum remains strong, with 53% of sellers expecting to see an increase in online shopping over the next 6 months, which, I mean, you could take that data however you want. You'd hope they would, wouldn't you? Because we've got Black Friday on the horizon, Cyber Monday, Christmas, Boxing Day, and what have you. But that'll be, we will wait and see what comes of people shopping over Christmas. Have you given any thought to how you're going to treat Christmas this year? Are you going to rein in the purse strings? Are you?
I always say I will, but
Never do.
we'll see. Have you started your Christmas shopping yet?
No, absolutely not. We went through this on the. We've
I know,
established
but
that you've already.
It's been a month now since the last time we spoke about it. We're a month closer to Christmas.
No, I haven't done a single bit. I've pinpointed a few things, and similar to what we said on the last episode, I'm thinking of making maybe more considered purchases. So maybe not a few different things, but maybe larger, more personal items, I think.
I feel like it was about this time last year as well when I was saying that I had a list of things I was waiting to see if there were any Black Friday offers for.
Yeah.
So it's sort of that time of year as well. It's just to start thinking about, if you haven't already, start thinking about Black Friday.
Yeah. They say in here as well, a lot of online sellers are ensuring they are recession-proof, the horrible R word, but we'll see what happens over the coming weeks and months, with almost half of online sellers stating that they will change their current e-commerce strategy and invest in more tools to protect themselves from market upheaval over the next 6 months. So it might be that you start thinking about branching out. Sometimes that can be the right, these sort of crises, like the pandemic showed, that when you've got to think on your feet and try new things and bring in extra revenue, that it can be quite advantageous sometimes.
Yeah.
It sparks you into thinking about the future, really, doesn't it? So anyway, let's see what the next 6 months brings. And we'll see what next month brings in the next episode of Talking Shop. We'll be back in November when we'll be on the cusp of
Black Friday. Yeah. And then the cusp of Christmas.
Well, yes. I may have started my Christmas shopping by then.
I really hope so.
Who knows? Anyway, don't forget to subscribe to all our channels, especially YouTube. On there, we've got loads of great tips and tricks and more videos for the world of e-commerce on there. Until next time.
Bye.